did you ever hear about the study with Dr. Money and the twins? So there was two twins that went to hospital to get circumcised, but they accidentally burnt the penis off one. So what the doctors decided to do is raise a child. They were both boys, but raise a child that had his penis burnt off as a woman, as a girl. So for the first 7 years of life, they just put her in dresses, made her believe that she was a girl. Everything was like, you're just a girl. But as the girl hit puberty, she felt more and more like a boy, and she remembering being suicidal, saying, I want to be a boy, I feel like a boy, I want to play with the balls and I want to play sports. And so eventually they told him the truth, and he went back to being a boy because he just, the self-discovery of your hormones, but eventually he ended up committing suicide because of the trauma. So the whole idea of playing with people's gender, especially when they do it pre-puberty, because that study showed that as soon as puberty hit in, completely a boy again. So if you try and block like the hormones before puberty, you're blocking them their self-discovery that might occur after hormones. So it's quite a dangerous thing to do.
It's dangerous shit.
Yeah.
Give me your treatise on hot girls being crazy.
Here's what it is with very attractive women. They don't get an insight into the average man and how average men behave. They get an insight into men that are incredibly intimidated by their beauty or incredibly lustful after their beauty. So they see men either ignore them, so the quiet good guys either just kind of intimidated by them, but the loud, gregarious, kind of adulterous men are after them. So they'll see guys that will leave their wives to be with you. They'll see guys that will drop everything to kind of, even if their girlfriend's in the same room, they'll quickly seek you their number. They'll see guys that will risk their jobs, if they're your boss, to be with you. So they see men as these huge risk takers that will do anything to have sex with you. So what ends up happening is she loses her naivety about a man. She no longer thinks men are faithful. She's seen so many men break up whatever they have just to be with you and just to access you. She's seen so many men who break their back just to touch you. So what happens is when her husband now says to her, there's a new colleague at work, her brain is like, well, every colleague at my work has always hit on me. Are you hitting on this girl? Or if her husband says, I'm just going to the gym, she's like, well, whenever I go to the gym, somebody hits on me. What are you doing? So they end up being suspicious because they are privy to men at their worst when they're sexually attracted to a woman. They don't have that naivety that a more plain woman would have, where she could walk past a guy in a bikini and he doesn't harass her. If she walks past a guy in a bikini, it drops everything. So she sees men as more dangerous than they are, and therefore she thinks her partner is more sexual than he might be, and as a result she tends to be more intense and crazy and less naive, but not necessarily more accusatory, I would say.
Yeah, because she uses her experience about the world to predict what everybody else's experience is about the world.
And in her defense, beautiful women are also, it takes a certain level of confidence and a certain level of no fear of rejection to access a beautiful girl. So her pool of men tend to be the men that are more likely to be unfaithful.
Wow, that's interesting. So very attractive women are a selection effect for the kinds of experiences that they have in life, the kinds of interactions that they have with other women and other men. So presumably they'll often see other women as threats.
Well, they've experienced other women seeing them as threats, and they've seen the competitive nature of women, and they've seen women, because here's the thing with beautiful women. If you walk into a room with a really beautiful woman, all the other beautiful women will now start looking at you thinking, well, there must be something about, I'm sure they look at you anyway, but they would pay more attention because there must be something about Chris because she's unbelievable. So what ends up happening is beautiful women start to see how disrespectful other women can be. They're looking at your man, they're competing with you, because to get a beautiful woman's man makes the other woman feel more attractive. If you walk in with an absolutely 12 out of 10 and then you give me attention, I now think I'm prettier than her. So therefore I want your attention more than the guy that's with the girl that's not that attractive. So we see this competitive nature of women. We see that women can put men on the map, and they see that men are very soft and they give in to beauty quite quickly and easily. So they lead to a trust issue that is harder to overcome. What happens when you're not attractive is people can accept what you're saying and doing and they don't really delve into it. But when you're attractive, there's an element of other women or even men saying, well, I bet she's dumb. Well, I bet she's a hoe. Or I bet they're looking for the negative so much more. And then they'll say, I bet she's really arrogant and very vain. So you almost have to work against people's negative assumptions of your character. As much as they make positive assumptions of your appearance, they make lots of negative assumptions about your character. So you're in a bit of a battle, and then it's not as easy as it might look to other people.
On the other side of the fence, do you think it's more difficult for successful or desirable men to settle down?
It's only difficult when they grew up when they've got low self-esteem. For men, their success with relationships is very much determined by their self-esteem. Women can get a shortcut with their appearance and so on and so forth. For men, their self-esteem is either going to propel them into a great relationship or prevent them from any kind of stability. Now, if he grew up without any validation and not knowing if he was attractive, what happens is his self-esteem is almost blocked at that stage of life, and then he can still be a sucker to women and still kind of accept the unacceptable simply because he wants to be desired. But if he has good self-esteem and good boundaries, he will never suffer in relationships. He just won't, because he knows when he's welcome, he knows when he's not accepted, and when the relationship's not working, and he has a willingness to walk away. So the thing is, money with low self-esteem is really, really difficult. It's a very lonely path. It's a lot of gold diggers, it's a lot of escorts, it's a lot of partying, even at the olden age. Now, money with high self-esteem and good values is, it's still difficult, but you can create something out of that.
What about successful women?
They really struggle, because essentially with successful women, here's the thing, men always say, oh, when women earn more, they leave men, but they don't realize why. There's actually studies to show that when men are with women that earn more than them, they produce more cortisol. They're actually more angry and stressed around her. And that obviously has a negative impact on their testosterone, so they're actually less sexually attracted to her. And so they're meaner to her. They're mean, and also they don't treat her the same way. If a man is dating a woman who knows is unemployed, say if he's on £20,000 a year, he'll still use whatever he has to treat her well, like, look after her. But if he's on £20,000 a year and she's on £50,000, he'll use nothing to invest in her. Now, women don't need your money, but they do need your investment, because that's how men fall in love. The more they invest in something, the more they attach to it. If they invest a lot of money in a car, they really care about it. Lost a lot of money into a Bitcoin, they want to see it go up. Invest money into a woman, they want to see it work out. So when they are with a woman that earns more, they invest so little, so walking away seems so easy for them, and it seems so hard for her because she's been the one that's investing in them. So it's very difficult. It's not just the woman who's rich and now she leaves you. The man no longer adds any value. That is the main issue. He doesn't use whatever tiny resources he has on the woman like he normally would.
How can people better deal with jealousy then in relationships?
It's very difficult when it's activated, because it comes from some childhood trauma and stuff. So when it's activated, that loneliness and that rejection is activated as it may have been as a child, and it's like the world is over when somebody's jealous. But I think in my experience of working, and even my own experience of jealousy, the only thing that helps remove jealousy is really building an identity outside of the relationship. If jealous people tend to place their entire self-worth and identity on the happiness of their partner and how attracted their partner is to them and what their partner is doing. Now, the reason why that's so fragile is because your partner is he's a fallible person who's going to have times where they look at somebody else, they might be attracted, whatever happens, their entire identity is crushed. So to remove that jealousy, you really have to create an identity outside of the relationship, which gives you the confidence that if this relationship is great, I'm going to be in it. If it doesn't work for me, it's okay, I can go somewhere else. But that fear of letting go and fear of that they're going to find somebody else, it means that they're in a constant competition with their partner, and they're almost terrified that their partner's going to meet somebody else. But really, when you build your own identity, you realize if they do meet somebody else, they're no longer the person you loved anyway. So it's okay. You almost have a zen attitude towards it, but it's very difficult. Do you ever suffer with jealousy?
Not massively, but that's been improved by having more things occur in life that have given me a more stable foundation. One of the challenges, I suppose, is that if you get jealous, you have two very difficult choices. One is tell your partner. Mm-hmm. That can go badly, that can be perceived in the wrong way, or even if it's perceived in the right way, it can change the way that you are perceived. Mm-hmm. And the other one is to just swallow it yourself and deal with it on your own, which then begins to create a trend in a relationship of keeping things from your partner.
But it doesn't actually stay in your side. You think you're swallowing it, but you're then manifesting it in the form of checking when they're online, checking who they're following, and then bursting at small things, not the real issue. So when your partner turns up late or doesn't reply to your text, then you over-exaggerate your response because that jealousy has been kept inside. So it doesn't go anywhere when you keep it in. It stays inside you. Your body keeps score of it, as they say. So the reality is, by expressing it, and with the right person, they'll try and help you soothe that jealousy with some reassurance. With the wrong person, they'll make you feel stupid and pathetic. Maybe you are being stupid and pathetic and they can't handle it, but they'll make you feel that way, and then the jealousy then exaggerates and increases. So it's a good test of your compatibility if you do explain it to your partner.